Hello. Can anyone hear me? Dr. James, can you hear me? Hello. Can anyone hear me? Hello.
Okay.
Dr. James, can you hear me? Hello. If you can hear me, just type in the comment section, anybody.
Hello, Bina. Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, thank you, Eli. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to welcome every one of us to this clinical presentation today from EEG Clinics. My name is Bino Korongo, and I'll be your host today. Today we are marking the World Sight for the World Sight Day of 2023. It's actually supposed to be on the 12th of October, but we're marking ours today. And the theme for the World Sight Day all over is for this year is Love Your Sight at Work. Our interest is for those of us who at work have to use digital devices, and we're looking at the some of the effects of these digital devices on our eyes, both on the short time and the long time range. You and I will believe that our sight, our eyes, are one of the very and most important aspects of our system for us to function very effectively in virtually everything that we do. And so we thought to use today to educate everyone, who works in any place and uses a digital device, healthcare workers, and wherever you may be, on how to love your eyes, and care for your eyes. So our presenter today is the ophthalmologist here at EEG Clinics, Dr. James Rafford. Dr. James, good morning. Good
Hello,
afternoon.
Mr. Albina.
Yes, can you put your camera so that we can see your face and share your screen too? Your screen is not shared.
No. Hello.
Yes, we can see your face. All right. So share your screen.
Hello, can anyone hear me? Okay, all right. That's good.
Your
Okay,
screen.
so I'll share my screen. Yeah. It's coming up. Just coming up. Can you see my screen? Hello.
Not yet. All right. It just came up. So click on the slideshow.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes. It just began to show.
So yeah, so we'll start in because of our time, so I'll be able to round off. Hello, Mr. Vina. Can you confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
All right, thank you. So hello everyone. My name is Dr. James Raphael. An optometrist with EHA Clinics, Kano. So we want to present this very topic to commemorate with the IAPB, that's the International Association for Prevention of Blindness, on this year's theme for World Sight Day celebration, and that is Love Your Eyes at Work. So in this presentation, we'll be able to handle some of the following things. We'll go through our introduction, then give an overview, then more insight, conclusion, then we can take your questions and answers. We'll try as much as possible to make this presentation brief and straight to the point, entertaining as well. So we'll be expecting your questions maybe at the later on. So we'll start with our introduction, and we'll want to formally introduce the theme for this year's World Sight Day celebration, and that is Love Your Eyes at Work. You know, those days while we are coming up, we usually say next to life, the greatest gift of man, of nature to man, is sight. So the human sight or the human vision as a whole becomes one of the primary necessities for work. Even starting from while we are growing up, studies have shown that about 80% of learning comes from vision. So you see, then you do. And that's why I see some people, they say, you watch and you follow my footsteps. Why? Because you're expected to see and you're expected to have a mental image of what you are seeing, and you're expected to bring that to pass by displaying something like that. So we'll start with the World Sight Day event. It's actually an annual event that focuses on visual impairment and blindness. Now, the target of World Sight Day is not to overwhelm people with some of the anomalies that happens with the ocular system, just like some of the diseases like glaucoma and the rest of them. It's not actually that. For example, in the last 3 years, we've been on this team, Love Your Eyes, Love Your Eyes, Love Your Eyes. So it's this year, you say, okay, let's bring it down to our workforce, because as good as our society today is actually as a result of the work of what people are actually doing and what they are putting on every day to make sure that our society continues to go as supposed to be. So World Sight Day is another event that focuses on visual impairment and vision. So, and this year we want to express our love for our eye, and this is where the IAPB, that's the International Association for Prevention of Blindness, they come in place. So why does this matter actually? So for example, we have statistics have shown that over 1 billion people worldwide have visual impairments, and good enough, this could be prevented and it should have been averted. But because of less information that is being gotten to the people, we see many people still have to go down with some of these visual impairments. Now, it depends. Visual impairments actually has its own grading, but we are not going to go into that this time. But in the course of the presentation, you will have to understand more. So these are some of the things, but before then, let's go to let's just make some review about our history and give thanks, or let us acknowledge those that have started. Now, if we come to the history of work, just like our theme for this year, Love Your Eyes at Work. So work started as a result of human necessity for things that he could not afford to do himself. You are able to go to the hospital because you believe that you cannot give yourself the services that can make you well. So for that reason, you have to go to the hospital. The same thing, you want to go and you want to build a house, you want to get something. There are people that offer those services, and because you cannot give them to yourself, you have to actually go and consult them. That is the basic history of work. So now, we've seen that over the years, work has actually changed. Things that we used to see as work, some has fizzled out, and we started seeing new things coming, just like technology. If you look at pictures there, you see this used to be a workplace in the medieval times, and you see people are actually happy to engage in such places, and they are rated in our society. Why? Because of that. But today you see things are changing. So like you can see in the picture now, these are some of the times when there was no anesthesia, when they were performing some surgical procedures. So you actually have someone to hold you down while they perform the surgical procedures. But today, some of these things have changed. That is the impact of technology in our lifestyle today. Then we have these CRT cameras. I actually don't know what this is, but I believe that this should be the monitor screen, and this is the keyboard, and this should be the where you can insert your floppy disk, that's diskette, I think so. Then before we had the CRT computers, I think they came around 1993, late 1990s, early 1990s. That was when this came into play. And all these have designed and they have redefined what our workstation and our workplace is today. And today we can see everyone using some technologies at work. You can have the headphones, you have the glasses, everybody is now more engaged with computer screens. Even in our meetings, even the big board for presentation, that's fine. And today we have our surgeons, they now wear specialized spectacles so that they will be able to see what they are doing and to get better precision in their procedures. But even as we've seen changes all these years, there is one thing that still stood out all this time, and that is the use of your eyes. So the use of human vision has remained with the evolution of work, even from time immemorial to now. That is to say that every work you have to do is solely dependent on your vision. Now you will ask, I wonder, what of those people that don't see? Yeah, nature have its own way of compensating for those bias, maybe giving them sharp ears so they can be able to pick up, and some of them have good memories and retention. So these are some of the things, but as long as humankind is concerned, the vision, the eyes plays a very important role in terms of our work today. So that's for that. Then we'll go for further exploration. So in this process, we'll be discussing some of these things. For example, we'll talk about the top 5 work-related eye defects or complaints, which, if you pay attention, I think many of us must have come to experience some of these things maybe once in our lifetime or once in a while during our process of work. So we'll talk of ocular emergencies at workplace, and we're going to give a topic of controversy that has been a question of every other person, like, do I really need to do this? Do I really need to do this? So in the course of the presentation, we'll have to bring up this topic. So talk about eye health best practices at the workplace. So these are some things we'll be covering in these sections. So we'll start with the top 5 visual complaints in the workplace. Now, after many studies and many researches, we were able to find out that these are some of the things that employees usually complain of. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So after much studies and many of them, so we're able to come to conclusion there. Out of the survey, I think they did one survey in Iowa, in USA. That was about 9 years ago. So they did this survey where they shared survey to employees and asked, okay, can you identify what has been the major complaints with your eye or your vision while you were working? So these are some of the responses. So from the responses, we were able to grade them and streamline them to these 5 things. So the number 5 is presbyopia. Now, presbyopia is a different thing altogether. It's actually a natural process. Yes, it's a natural process. It's a way nature reminds you that you are getting old. So we'll demonstrate that in some seconds now. So that's what we say it's a nature's reminder. It has to do with the accommodative system of the eye. Remember, I told you that we are going to try as much as possible to make this presentation brief and understandable to everybody across all professions and workplaces. So presbyopia is a natural reminder. Why? Because we've been using our eyes for years, starting from the day you are born to this time around. You've been using your eyes. So the human eyes is the only time it rests is while you are sleeping. Even while you are sleeping, there are other things that are going on in your eyes, even though it doesn't have to do with your vision because you're actually seeing nothing there. So it's a natural reminder, then it's an accommodative anomaly and not a refractive error. We will demonstrate this with this. You can see this is an object. This is an object, or this is an object, and the object light. Okay, let's just explain this. This is an object. For you to see an object, light coming from infinity, for any source of light, you have to strike the object, and the reflection or the rays of light that strike off these objects are being sent to your eyes, and they get to form a point of focus on your retina. And that's how we are able to see. So we see images of objects. We actually do not see objects. That's funny. So we actually see images of objects. We don't see objects, but we see the images. That's why if there is no light, you are not going to see the object. But the object is there. But because there is no light to cast the image from the object to your retina, you are not able to see that. So that's it. So what happens in presbyopia? You see this we call it the crystalline lens. And if you watch this simulation, you find out as the object is coming close, the shape of the crystalline lens is being altered. So this is what has been happening all this while. When you are looking at things that are far away from you, your lens becomes flat. As you bring them closer to yourself, it bulges. It becomes spherical. It's more like a dome anyway. So the process of this repeating itself, can imagine you're working with your computer screen, someone calls you, you look out, someone, after responding to the person, you go back. So the crystalline lens is expanding, is relaxing, is expanding. So it has been doing this all the years. So after a while, start getting weak. This is some of the ways we explain it to our patients. You start getting weak and start losing its elasticity. So in that process, it's not going to bulge as it's supposed to be. And because of that, you will start finding it difficult to see tiny print. But presbyopia doesn't actually happen to everybody across all ages, but it specifically starts from 40 years. Funny enough, there was a time presbyopia starts from 50. Then it dropped to 45, and today it's at 40. So it's expected that ametropic eye means an eye that doesn't have any refractive error, so you don't need glasses. You can see things that are further away from you, and you don't have any problem with your vision in terms of refraction. So that's an ametropic eye. So it's expected that an ametropic eye, by 40 years, you actually start finding it difficult to see tiny prints. And it's a natural process. Why? Because the crystalline lens is losing its elasticity. So in that process, it's not going to bulge as it's supposed to be. And for that reason, it's not going to focus objects on your retina at the exact point it's supposed to be. So you start finding it difficult to see tiny prints. That's why you start seeing some of them taking it further away from their eyes. So that's what we mean by it's accommodative. It's actually not refractive. It has nothing to do with the refractive media of the eye. So that's just like presbyopia. We have some classifications. We have early presbyopes, we have late presbyopes, and they are ones that are just right on time. So after just throughout my years of practice, I found that there are people that we call early presbyopes, and with practice, even from seeing the person, how the person reads, you can actually get an imagination, get a mental picture of what the person does for a living. So we found out that people whose work have to do with tiny prints or concentrating on tiny objects or anything at all like that, they actually tend to have presbyopia earlier than their normal, those that do work that has to do with not just tiny prints, but mixed work. Maybe, for example, have like painters, we have people that have to do like, we have painters, we have, what other work do we even have? We have maybe transport that work in the transport sector and the rest of them. So we found out that these early presbyopes, they are usually, we get more of them in bankers. Then we have more of scientists, people that work with the lab, especially those that do microscopy and the rest of them. So they tend to have presbyopia earlier because every time they're using the microscope, they are focusing on the tiny prints. They want to resolve so they'll be able to see where to make proper identification of the microbe which they are viewing. So then we have those that are late and we have those on time. I think you should have heard some people say, our grandparents, none of them wore glasses. They were able to see well even till when they, throughout their sojourning here on earth. But the truth is, people that are short-sighted, people that will call myopes, if you are actually a myope, depending on the degree of myopia, you might not actually, not that you actually have presbyopia, but you will still find it easy to read tiny prints at 40, 45, 50, and sometimes 60. It depends on the severity of that's the degree of myopia. But we will not be going into that much. So the number 4, that we are still on the top 5 visual complaints that we receive from workers. The 4th is blurry vision. Now, blurry vision is a symptom. It's a symptom. Nobody sees it except you that is seen. So it's subjective and not objective. So blurry vision, you see, one of the evidence of blurry vision is squint. You see people squinting to see things that are close to them. You see people squinting to see things that are further away from them. And sometimes it's actually not related to refractive errors. You can also the person is short-sighted, you can see things, but all of a sudden he starts having blurry vision. Why? So this will still discuss some of these things in the course of the presentation. So this based on the complaints received from these workers, found that blurry vision was the 4th. So blurry vision can be refractive, it can be pathologic, it can be fatigue. Pathologic, let's say, for example, someone that is diabetic, his blood sugar level is normal, it's enjoying, he can see very well, but immediately the blood sugar goes up. You see the person start finding it difficult to see things that are far away from him. And he will still see things that are tiny very well. So this one is quite deceptive anyway, because if you don't know, you can actually, just like an eye health or your eye doctor might mistakenly prescribe the wrong prescription without knowing that the blurred vision the person is having at distance is not as a result of refractive error, but because of increase in the blood sugar level. And that has to do with the lenses, just like the simulation we just saw from some minutes ago. So blurred vision can be caused as a result of fatigue too. Then the 3rd one we have is photophobia or glare sensitivity. Now, photophobia is a natural response. It's a way your eye is trying to. So the retina is the sensitive part of the eye that transmits impulses from objects, from rays of light coming from images of objects. It transmits them to your brain, then your brain interprets, and you can now say, yes, I can see this. So it's a natural response, photophobia. So immediately bright light shines on you, you see the person squints. It's a natural response to reduce the intensity of light getting to the person. Then sometimes they can be underlying errors of refraction, migraine too, yeah. So people that have migraine, most of them have something we call, they are being very sensitive to light, and we have, some of them have something we call visual aura, where they will have intermittent loss of vision. It depends on, but not everyone has it anyway. So some people complain of visual aura where all of a sudden everywhere just goes black. Then they don't see them after like 30 minutes or an hour or so, a minute too. So it's not the amount of time it takes for the person to restore his vision is not constant. So it varies among individuals. So people that have migraines, they usually have photophobia too. So that's why you see some of them come to the clinic and say, doctor, I find it difficult seeing under bright light. And so I ask them, do you have headache? What's the position of your headache? Have you been diagnosed of migraine? You now find that most of them that have migraine, they actually have photophobia. They have increased glare sensitivity. They are actually two different things. Natural light and man-made light. But glare sensitivity is usually man-made light. While, for example, while driving at night, finding it difficult to adjust to glare of oncoming vehicles. So that is glare sensitivity. So that's for photophobia. That's the 3rd one. Then the 2nd one we have is foreign body sensation. So most workers have complained that sometimes in the process of dispatching their duties, they find it's just as if something entered their eye. But in the actual sense, there is nothing in their eyes. So foreign body sensations can be simple. It can be simple cause, can be the result of simple cause. Maybe it's something like your lashes getting into your eyes, then you find yourself rubbing them, to complex causes like the dry eye syndrome. That's the dry eye disease. So dry eye disease is this one is becoming a public health concern because some of the things that brought it up was during the pandemic, during COVID-19, you find everybody was wearing masks. I think those times the Community Eye Health Journal, then there was an article they made on dry eye disease, and they called it MAID, that's mask associated dry eyes. So, and it's usually found in health workers that wear masks every time. So when you are putting on your face mask, especially if you don't pinch, or your face mask doesn't have the copper lining where you can pinch it to your nose to avoid the air that you exhale from getting to your eyes. You find out that when you wear those masks and you breathe, as you are breathing out, those air they are leaving the surrounding through the upper part, and they are getting in touch with your eyes. So as they are touching your eyes, you find out that you start having dry eyes. So it depends, start feeling as if there is something in their eyes. And other triggers for foreign body sensation will have like air condition and increased screen time. That is a topic we are still going to deliberate on. So because of our time, let me just speed up things a little bit. So we have triggers like air condition, BAK, that's benzalkonium chloride. That is the preservative we use in OTC, the over-the-counter eye drops. So studies have shown that people that are exposed to prolonged use of products or eye drops that contains BAK, they end up having corneal toxicity. It has actually been proven. That's why most of these drugs we dispense them to be used for at least from 1 week to 2 weeks, and at most 1 month. So, and today we've had some of our pharmaceutical companies that are coming up with better formulations. Like we have this quad, I think quad is polyquad, is a preservative they use in place of BAK because it has less toner toxicity when compared with BAK. So some of these things are, so we have some people that have been, maybe they have something in their eye, they go to a chemist and they give them chloramphenicol. Those drugs actually contains BAK. Then if you start using them and it becomes an addiction. So you find it difficult every time your eye is just red. So no matter, even if we give you a master stabilizer to reduce the itching or to reduce the redness or the rest of them, it's still going to trigger that foreign body sensation. Why? Because of it has actually developed to dry eye disease. So other causes of dry eye disease have systemic disease, like we have osteoarthritis, we have giant cell arthritis, we have Sjogren's syndrome, and the rest of them. Those are some of the things I'll see. So in our picture here, you see this is the simple foreign body sensation. So you see the eyelashes is just rubbing against the eye. Now this is dangerous anyway. So, but we'll still look into this later. Then we'll have this. If you compare these two pictures, you find that you have some luster. The eye is shining. That's the eye has lost its luster in these areas, and that is a result of reduction in tears production. There are actually two things that cause dry eye disease. It's actually a result of reduction in the amount of tears your eyes produce, or your eye is producing enough tears, but there is a reduction in the quality. So there is quantity and there's a reduction in quality too. So that's for dry eyes. So the number one complaint of employees in workplace is eye strength. And I believe that almost everybody here must, directly or indirectly, must have experienced eye strain or eye fatigue. So sometimes these things can be, they can be too minor that you actually not know what is wrong with you. For example, you start seeing some people, all of a sudden you're walking, all of a sudden you become irritated, you become tired. You don't know where the tiredness is coming from. You don't know where the irritation is coming from. Some of these things are as a result of eye strain or fatigue. So when you become strained, when your vision or your eyes become strained, it actually goes a long way to affect every other system. So we also call it asthenopia. So asthenopia is a constellation of some of the complaints that we've discussed earlier and more. So when it has to do with computers, we call it computer vision syndrome. That's CVS when associated with digital device use. Then common symptoms of eye strain, we have all of the above, everything that we've talked about, the dry eye syndrome, falling body sensation, photophobia, glare sensitivity, all of them we've talked about, plus malice, sore eyes, diplopia. Diplopia is double vision. We have headaches, tiredness, and poor or no focusing. So these are some of the things that happen when your eye is strained. So we have possible causes is increased screen time. So digital device use has become a part of our being. So, we had many people that wanted to speak against them, say we don't use digital devices. There is actually nothing we can do about it because the world is changing. We have many inventions. So we have AI. You see people are threatening and say AI is going to take over our jobs. I was telling some of my colleagues, they were discussing it. They're actually going to take over some of the jobs, but they are going to take over jobs of people that don't know how to use AI. So that's just it. So artificial intelligence, it doesn't end with your computer screen, it doesn't end with the robots, but you can actually use them to improve your own skill and make better do with things that have to do with your own line of work. So possible causes of eye strain, you have things like screen time. Prolonged screen time has been the major precursor of eye strain or fatigue. Another one will have lightning, too poor lightning, or you have too much lightning. So either poor lightning or lightning that is above the normal threshold, all of them will actually make your eye to strain. So we have BVA, that is binocular vision anomaly. That is another thing that have to play. Because sometimes if you don't know, okay, let me give you this instance. Hello, Mr. Obina, can you confirm you can hear me? I don't keep on talking to myself. Okay, so we have binocular vision anomaly. That's BVA. It's not popular, but I'm sure everyone that is on this call, if we should place you on BVA test, I'm sure that 70% is going to fail. It's actually not popular because they are it's a specialty on its own, so it's not everybody that is good at it, at detection. So let me explain what it means. Have you ever imagined your eyes? You have two eyes and you are looking at the screen. If you shut one eye, you're still seeing the screen. If you shut the other eye, you're still seeing the screen. So how come your two eyes are seeing this same image, but you're still seeing it as one? How come you're not seeing it as two screens? Since you shut one, you're still seeing the screen, you shut the other one. So that concept is what we call binocular vision. So we have human beings, we have two eyes. So our ability to integrate the images coming from these two eyes and fuse them together to become one is what we call binocular vision. So there are some anomalies that happens with binocular vision. They are very minute. That most of the times they are not with our routine eye test. Most of the times it's not detected. So it requires further evaluation before you be able to detect binocular vision. And some people that have binocular vision problems, you see some of them, they find it difficult seeing tiny prints. They usually experience constant headaches. That's why we do have some patients come in, maybe they were referred from the GP. They say they have headache, they were referred because they said they can check their eyes. Then after doing refraction, you've done most of the preliminary eye tests and everything is fine. But if you should prove further to do binocular vision evaluation, you find that they are either having convergence insufficiency, convergence excess, divergence insufficiency. All those things are some of the things that have to do with binocular vision. Your two eyes, they are working together. Remember, the eye is made up of muscles. There are muscles that control the eye movement. We have the extraocular muscles and we have the intraocular muscles that help in focusing. So if there is any laxity in the tonicity of these muscles, even though they are actually doing the work, but one will be more strained than the other. That's why it starts having some of these complaints. You see tired eyes, you see headaches that doesn't resolve even after taking drugs. Some people have become masters and they become addicted to analgesics. They take them. I was telling someone the other day that if I take a tablet of paracetamol, it turns my eyes as if I've taken alcohol, I've taken something that is. And she was surprised. Yeah, because I've come to train myself to know what is the cause of everything that is happening to me. Though it's not actually easy, but it takes time. So binocular vision anomaly it happens to both children, school age children, it happens to adults, it happens to everybody. So because they are not detected, you see people that are living with headaches. Some people have been living with this, people have been living with dizziness, some people have been living with heaviness of the eye. Some of these things are some of the symptoms of binocular vision anomaly, but we actually not go too deep into that. So the next one we have is refractive error. Refractive errors can as well cause eye strain. Now let's start our business for the day. So we'll be talking on ocular emergencies at work. So there are some of the things that we might experience in the process of working. Then when you have, okay, let me give you an instance. I had one patient. Yeah. I had one patient once that he was telling me a story because he came to the clinic for an annual check here. So I asked him, when I checked his eyes, I asked him, do you have any siblings that have issues with the eye that's very difficult to see, even with glasses? Or do you have anyone that got surgery? He thought and he said, yeah, that he had that. I think that was his brother. So he was explaining what happened on that fateful day. I think they were having this marriage ceremony. So he went into the hotel to get something. All of a sudden, they heard someone scream out that he was shouting that he cannot see again. So they asked him, he said intentionally at first, he thought there was no light, the light went off and everywhere became dark. So he found out that even his phone that he had in his hand, he was not able to see it again. That's how the young man started screaming. And they had to rush him to the hospital. Funny enough, he had glaucoma and that eye was gone. Yeah. So in terms of ocular emergencies, what can we do as healthcare professionals? Even if you are not a healthcare professional, what can you do? Is there anything you can do about it? What are the possible things that can happen in your workplace? And what is the response that is expected for you to do? So in this section, we are going to be discussing some of these things, but we are going to advise you. We are going to have some gory images anyway. So like you can see, we have viewers description, your advice. So we'll start with this. So we'll be giving a rundown of the possible ocular emergencies that can occur in our workplace. So the first one we'll talk about is acute loss of vision. Just like what I mentioned earlier, that's acute. It just happens all of a sudden, no sign. It's just like your car. You're just driving, all of a sudden you see your brake fails. There's no sign, but they happen. So acute loss of vision can be intermediate. That it happens and all of a sudden you start seeing again. So you see some people have blackouts. I think the lab people, if you can bear me witness, when someone's PCV is down, if your PCV level is down, you're actually going to experience dizziness and something like blackout. So these are some of those ones are what we call intermediate. But we have ones that are permanent. Once the vision is gone, it's gone. There's actually little or nothing you can do about it. So this is just because of some of this that we come to have this World Sight Day celebration where we remind everyone of the importance of their eyes. Now I'm going to say this second story. I'm going to give you this. I experienced it. That was about 6 years ago. While I was in the southern part of Nigeria, so we went for this medical outreach where we visit less privileged communities and render free eye service delivery to them. So there was one man that came. He was being held. He came in and everybody was watching him. He came and sat close to me. I greeted him and I was happy to meet him. I introduced myself to him. So he told me he was crying. He started crying actually. So everybody was moved. Even the other doctors, they were doing their work. Everybody now left. They left what they were doing and they were just watching to find out what was happening. So the man actually told me a story that was touching. He was a government worker. And he was doing well. His vision was fine. He was doing well for himself, financially, economically, and the rest. So I think during the course of their work, they usually send them for checkups. So he said that they will diagnose him of having glaucoma. They said he was diagnosed with glaucoma And there was no pen. He was surprised. The doctor was saying, "Yeah, you are going to be using this eye drop every day of your life." So because he had no pen, and he can still see very well, so he did not find any need for that. So he never knew that the glaucoma was progressing, all to the extent that all of a sudden he stopped seeing. He started reducing his vision. By the time he got to the hospital, there's nothing they can do about it. So he has lost 95% of his vision. So he can only see light perception. And that light perception is when you bring it very close to him. So he told me something that shocked me. He told me that his assistant that was working with him, which was the boy he raised up and was able to help him to get the work, went and typed a voluntary resignation letter for him. So because he couldn't see, he went on and signed the letter. That was how he lost his job. He lost everything, no pension, nothing. That was how he retired from civil service. And that's bad. And after that, I think the young man was now promoted to take over. So these things are some things that happen. Why? Because we work. But you're able to work today because you can see. So any day you have problem with your vision, which is actually not what we pray for, you will find it difficult that every other thing in your life can wait. So you say that every other thing can wait. Every other thing can wait. So that's with acute loss of vision. So it can be intermediate, can be permanent. And there are some of the causes. We have things like migraine. Migraine cause intermediate loss of vision. That's if it's associated with visual aura. So that's what we call the acute loss of vision in migraine. We call it visual aura, where you have this intermediate loss of vision that can last from minutes to even hours. So glaucoma is permanent loss of vision because it has to do with the damage of the optic nerve head. And the optic nerve head does not regenerate, even though there are some researches and investigations that are actually going on to see how they can make the nerve or to incorporate something that can make it to regenerate, but by its nature, it does not generate. So any damage that has been done to the nerve, it remains that way. So we have CRAO, that's central retinal artery occlusion. That's what we have here in our screen. So these things can only be diagnosed if you are tested. So you as a worker, you can never know all this because you cannot see your eyes. So don't mind this. The round thing you see is the aperture of the instrument we use to view the internal. This is just the retina. That's how it is. So these are what we call the central retinal veins, but the arteries are gone. So you see this bright yellow color. We call them infarction. So it's as a result of loss of blood flow to the central retinal arteries. And if there's loss of blood, there will be hypoxia, so there will be less energy supply. And see some of these things, you see they start losing their colors because it's actually damage to the retinal cells. Then when we perform fluorescein angiography, where fluorescein is injected into your vein, and after an hour or two, you have to check with a green filter, a red-free filter, that's green in color anyway. So we'll find out that if you see here, you can find these veins. These are the central retinal vein. This one has blood in it, but these white ones, there's actually no blood supplied to them. So that means something has blocked them. That's what we call central retinal artery occlusion. I actually have this one with people that have things like thrombosis, people that have hypertension, even diabetics, where there is embolus, there is a blockage of one of the major arteries that supplies blood to the retina. So when that happens, when it's being occluded, so you find out that there will be less blood flow to these areas, and you start having death of these retinal nerve fiber layers and the rest of that. So that's it. Then we have optic neuropathy. Optic neuropathy will have to do with the disease with the optic nerve. It's actually a neuron anyway. So we'll start finding some of these things there. So we'll go to the second one. That's the possible ocular emergencies at work. We have minor to severe ocular abrasion. Now, like I said before, I said we are going to talk more about this. This is the eyelash rubbing against the cornea. If there is any important part of your eyes after your retina is the cornea. the cornea, because it does about 80 to 90% of the refraction. So I was explaining to somebody, so have you ever wondered, sometimes you sleep, you wake up, when you wake up, you find that you're not able to see things that are far away again. You start by my screen is not showing. Okay, let me see. Hello. So your screen is not so what you are describing is not moving. Are you serious? Can you hear me now? Huh? Can you see? Yeah. All right, sorry about that. I just learned that my screen has not been showing. Okay, let's just hold on. Hello, Mr. Obina, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. It's transitioning, right? You can see the next. Can you see the next slide? Can't see that. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I never knew my screen was not transitioning well. So we'll just start with this. We talked about acute loss of vision, and this was the picture of central retinal occlusion we discussed earlier. And this was the picture when we do fluorescein angiography and visualize the fundus. So you find out that there are actually no blood in these veins, in these arteries, sorry. Some of these arteries are actually small, and then the veins are the bigger ones. So we'll go to minor to severe ocular aberrations. Please, let me ask again, Mr. Obina, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so we'll talk on minor to severe ocular aberrations. So we say this can look simple, but it's actually not simple. And we were discussing about, we said that second to the retina, one of the most important parts of your eye is your cornea, because it has to do with about 80 to 90%. It controls 80 to 90% of the refraction. That's ability to bend rays of light coming from the objects you intend seeing to focus on your retina. Most of the work is done by the cornea. And the cornea is a transparent membrane, just like the broader conjunctiva, which you cannot see here. But before these black parts, before the brown iris, there is a transparent membrane that is covering this. And we call that the cornea. So this cornea actually has 5 layers. So anything that has to touch the first layer and the second layer is no problem. So when it heals, you'll be able to see. But anything that gets to the stroma, which is the third layer, even after healing, it leaves a scar. So that's why this, even as small as it can be dangerous, though this might not actually cause more problem, except the person is desensitized, or maybe someone that is on GA, general anesthesia, or topical anesthesia. Anesthesia is so that to the extent that when things are rubbing against his eyes, he cannot see them. That's when this thing can actually cause damage. So if you look at the picture by my right, you'll find out that this is a test we call fluorescein test. Normally, the eye is not supposed to stain. The dye, there's a dye we usually use called fluorescein. So, but we have stains here. That means the corneal epithelium was able to absorb some of this dye, and that's why you see these green reflections. Yeah, that's to say that this area has been eroded. That's what we call abrasion. It has been abrased, and this is extremely painful. This is very painful. It can be very painful, very, very painful. And people that have this is usually associated with photophobia. That is why we don't encourage anybody. When it seems as if something entered your eyes, please try as much as possible not to rub your eyes. Though it can give you some minutes of pleasure, but it can actually be dangerous, because if there is a small material that is in your eye and you rub it against your cornea, it go a long way to cause corneal abrasions, and this is very painful. Even though the eye heals very fast, it actually heals on its own within 1 to 7 days. But within that 1 to 7 days, you will find it very difficult to look at bright light. So these are some of the possible ocular emergencies that can happen at work. Depending on your work, something can just fly into your eyes, you rub it, then your cornea is abraded. Then you start finding some of these symptoms that we described. So the next one we have is blunt trauma. Now, this is getting serious. It can be as a result of exchange, people that are fighting, the exchange of blows and the rest of them. People developing red eyes, and we have things like this. This is subconjunctival hemorrhage. So it can be as a result of maybe dashing your eyes on something or something hitting you. Now, this is non-invasive, so there is no penetration there, but some of the blood vessels of the conjunctiva has been ruptured. So the blood now has to stuck in between the conjunctiva and sclera, and that's what we have here. Now, this one we call it hyphema. Now, from this eye, I can actually deduce that this patient is having high lipid profile. You can see this. This is acus senalis. So it's possible that this patient is having high lipid profile. This patient is most probably hypertensive. So we see some of these things in some of our patients. We have hyphema, blood in the anterior chamber. So these are some of the things that can happen at work. It can happen on its own as a result of systemic conditions like hypertension, just like I said, and it can actually happen during trauma. So when something hits your eye, it's possible that it ruptures some of the blood vessels and they discharge blood. And you see some of the blood, if it's internal, it collects here. This is more severe stuff. This can resolve on its own. But this can resolve on its own, but there is an underlying cause, so it needs to be treated. So other ones we can have is penetrative eye injury. Now we have things like this is fast-moving foreign body. This is an object. I think it looks like wood that this was able to penetrate the eye. Now, looking at this, the one on the right, this is more dangerous because, as you can see here, there is opacity, and it has actually covered the pupil. The pupil is the hole where light gets into your eye. So this opacity has actually covered the pupil. So even after healing, this person will find it difficult to see. And this is most probably going to result to cataracts, because I think for this thing to penetrate, it must have gotten to the lens, the crystalline lens, and it's going to lose its opacity. So for this person, you might need keratoplasty, where this cornea is going to be surgically removed and replaced with another one. So either they get another cornea from someone that is about to be diseased also. So it's actually a procedure. So Now, this is foreign bodies getting stuck on the sclera. So one thing we actually do advise is whenever you have foreign body, please do not touch. This is an ocular emergency. So we usually have this thing in people that do works that have to do with airborne particles, like we have welders and people that work in construction sites. So it's possible they can have some of these injuries, some of these foreign bodies, they just penetrate the eye. So it's actually advisable not to touch. So the best thing, maybe you experience this kind of thing, best is just tell the person to relax, close your eyes, and bring the person to, just take the person to an eye clinic where this can be removed. But if you try pulling this off by yourself, remember the eye has its own fluid. We have the aqueous humor, we have the vitreous. You pulling this thing off, the pressure in the eye is going to push those fluid and they're going to still try to escape from this same route. And that will lead to deflation. So the person's eye is going to be gone. So that's for penetrative eye injuries, like foreign bodies. Then the next we have is this. We have chemical burns. Now this is a very big emergency. Now, if you can see in the previous picture we have, you see this place, this is transparent. The conjunctiva is transparent, and the cornea, which is covering this, is transparent, apart from these areas anyway. But in this case, we have something like this. So this is a typical chemical burn. So cells here, this chemical burn has to do with the cornea. This one had to do with both the cornea and the conjunctiva, and you see they have lost their elasticity. And this is supposed to be the iris, and the pupil should be in between. But because they have lost their transparency, they are no longer transparent. And we find things like this. So I think we've had something like this recently in the eye clinic. That was about roughly a month ago. Someone had something like this and came to the clinic. It was actually, he just woke up and found out that his iris was like this. So this sometimes cannot be as a result of chemical burn. There are some other conditions that can cause, especially this. So this conjunctival chemosis. So this is a different case altogether. But we have this. That's why the best thing to do is just wear protective eyewears. If you are working in the laboratory, you have to do with chemicals and all these things. Please try as much as possible to wear protective goggles, because in one way or the other, if this chemical should get into your eyes, they might cause damages that it might actually cost you more than just getting an eyewear for yourself. So this is what we can experience in our workplace, depending on where you work. Then we are trying to summarize. We don't have time. So we are summarizing this. Do I really need glasses? This has been a question people have been asking, and I've seen many companies try to bank on people's lack of knowledge anyway to sell some of their products. I've seen people, like I had some of my colleagues that came and said, I ordered computer glasses from Jumia, I ordered computer glasses from Alibaba. I heard that if you don't wear it, you're going to have problems. Do I really need glasses? So we'll be discussing on this now. Now, in our own opinion, with the years of experience we've had, there is actually, and because of, anyway, what's actually brought this is our prolonged screen time. So most of us are working, you are doing a work that will require you to focus on your screen at least 8 hours per day. Most of your work has to do with your screen. Even if it's not your screen, your laptop screen can be your phone screen. And even when you get home, you still have to chat, you still have to reply messages, you have to do all these things are increasing our screen time. Then do these lights actually affect the eye? Now, there is no study that have shown that the blue light that is being emitted from these digital devices can cause damages to the human retina. There is no study. The only study that I've had something that came close, that was one study they did with mice. Yeah, they did with some mice, and they found out that there was some retinopathies that has to do with exposure to blue light. Now, blue light is coming as a result of the LED light-emitting diodes that are used to build some of these our screens. But the amount of blue light that is being emitted by these devices, they are too infinitesimal, they are too small to cause retinopathies. That's why we see some of these companies. Like I saw one of my patients, one of my patients brought some of the glasses for me. It was in a pack, so I was reading it. They were writing it was blue light. It prevents cataract. It prevents retinal detachment. I was surprised that I said, where did you get this from? He said he bought it online. So many companies are now based. They are now standing on some of these facts that are not yet proven to cause that. And because of the only way we can actually reason and see reason to some of these things is one, it depends on your location. Take for instance, we are in Nigeria here, and Nigeria is located in the equatorial part of the earth, so we are exposed to more UV rays. Now, if you say, "Oh, I'm wearing these glasses to protect my eyes from blue lights that are emitted from because during the sunset that are emitted from the sun," now that's understandable. But the blue light that is emitted from the system is too small to cause problems with the human visual system. Now that's it. But the blue light that is emitted by the sun is enough after prolonged exposure to cause retinopathies. Like you start seeing people that have macular degeneration, solar cataracts. Yeah. All those things they are things that happen. I will have them more in this part of, we have them more in the northern part of Nigeria than the southern part because of the exposure, the amount of UV rays that we have been exposed to. Now, going back to this question, do I really need glasses? Yes and no. Yes, if you have a refractive error or your work entails you working under the sun, so you need to have something to protect your eyes against UV rays from the sun and not from your computer screen, please. Then yes, you need it. No, if you don't have any refractive error and you're not having photophobia or you don't have anything that might require you wearing glasses, then you don't need glasses. I've had some of my patients that come in and say, eye clinic, anytime you come to eye clinic, we will be giving glasses. I say, we can only give you glasses if there is only any need for you to have glasses. So glasses actually not for everybody. And because you work with computers a lot, doesn't mean you are qualified to get glasses. No, the computer glasses are actually, if you're wearing the computer glasses to reduce eye strain or brightness from the screen, that's fine. That's if your screen does not have the way you can reduce the illumination, then you can wear those glasses. But if every other thing is fine, you went for a test, you've done some of your eye tests, and the results came out fine, then you might not be needing glasses. Though we'll still discuss about this in the last part, which is here. So we are concluding this now with the best way to make sure that everything is right with our vision. Just like I said before, we are not fighting against that issues. They are becoming part of our daily life. You see how the pandemic was able to bring out more of this. So people experienced higher screen time, Zoom, Google Meets. They started coming out. Why? It was during the pandemic that made them that popular because people had to work from home. So some of the best practices you can actually do while working in your workplace is one, proper lighting. That's the first one. So you have to, natural light is actually the best. So proper lighting, no lighting is too small and there is none that is too high, but all is depending on the threshold you can handle. There are people that are more adapted that love brighter lights. So if you reduce the brightness, you're going to strain your eyes. And if you strain your eyes, you're going to have eye fatigue. Then if you're having eye fatigue, you see some people, their eyelids start twitching. You call it twitching eyelids. Your eyelids start shaking. So what that means, we'll actually discuss about that soon. So when your eyelid is twitching, it's actually a sign your muscle, the muscles of your eyelid, we call them the levator palpebral, the orbicularis oculi muscles. So those muscles, they are fatigued. That's why they are shaking. They are trembling. So we call it twitching of the eyelid. So the second thing you can do in your workplace is adjust your positioning. This is not going to be easy, but because most of us have our own natural way of positioning to make things better and make your computer screen suitable for you to do your work. But the first one, according to IAPB, and the best practice is to have at least 15 to 20 cm below eye level. That's your screen should be, that's if you are talking about 15 to 20 degrees below your eye level, we are starting from the center of your screen. So that if we should put it in this way around, we say that's about 10 to 12 centimeters as measured from the center of your screen to the top of your screen. So you are supposed to be positioned in such a way that you are not higher than your screen, neither are you too low. We'll use some of these pictures to show this. Now you can see this young man sitting here. You see the distance between the top of his screen and his eye level. This is greater than 10 centimeters. So this is not recommended. Has the right, the sitting position is fine, but the eye level and the screen is actually not recommended. Now, if you look at the second one by my right, you see the lady here, this is the eye. So another way to do it, your eye should be at least in the last 1/4 of your screen. So if you divide the screen into 3 equal parts, 4 equal parts, sorry, then your eye level should be on the 4th one. That's, if you count it there, that's roughly around 10 to 12 centimeters. Then you see the lady sitting here, which the sitting position is bad, the eye level is fine, she's too close to the screen, it's not acceptable. And that's why we say at least you should be sitting from 50 to 70 centimeters away. That's within arm's length. Ah, cool. Hello, can you see my screen?
It's not moving.
Oh,
It's not moving.
it's not moving. Are you seeing? You have to share again. Hello, can you see my screen now? Can you check? Hello, Mr. Obina, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can see your screen, please.
Okay. All right, so that's fine. So please, let me know when you stop seeing my screen. I think it's network or something like that. So we've discussed about proper lighting. Then we are in positioning. Okay, so we'll continue. So that your screen should be at least within 50 to 70 centimeters away from you. That's your arm's length. So then you should have at least 10 to 20 degrees tilt. So you see this is tilted. If this should be the normal 90 degrees, so you should have within 10 to 20 degrees angle here. So that's this for positioning. We can see this is 20 degrees and it's maintaining this. That's is around 10 to 12 centimeters from the center of the screen to the top of the screen. So this fine, the sitting arrangement is fine. Then you see the height, everywhere it fits, they were placed well. So I'll be sharing this on the chart now. Just hold on. I will share this link to something like a checklist. It's going to be a checklist. So you can actually use it to see if you are actually doing the right thing. Yeah. Okay, I'll paste this thing here now. So you can just check it out and download it. It's just a checklist from IAPB. So that's this. I will continue with this. All right, so let's wait for this to load. All right, so that's for the positioning. Then we have blink and blink. Blinking is actually one of the natural process that helps our eyes to distribute tears evenly across the extraocular surface. So find out that people that use the computer screens a lot, when you concentrate on your system, it actually reduces the amount of time you blink. So when the amount of time you blink is reduced, it encourages tears evaporation. So tears will easily evaporate from your eyes. So in that process, you start feeling as if there is something in your eyes. There's actually nothing in your eyes, but just that your eye is dry. So for that purpose, you start having this foreign body sensation and redness. So one of the things I actually tell my patients is you can just get a book and inscribe in it blink and paste it in front of your screen. So I actually use it to consciously remind yourself to blink. So this is one of the best practices, especially if you are doing a work that entails working with computers a lot. So another one we have is to take frequent breaks. And there is a rule, we have this 2020 rule, 20-20-20 rule. So it means every 20 minutes of work, take 20 seconds break, looking at a distance of 20 feet. 20 feet is around 6 meters. So after working with your computers for like 20 minutes, take a 20 seconds break and look at an object that is at a distance of at least 20 feet. 20 feet is 6 meters. So then we have adjust your screen display. Your screen display will have like your size. You can increase your font size so you don't need to go close to your computer to see the tiny print. You just left the brightness like that. You can actually increase the brightness depending on your threshold of tolerance, or you can reduce the brightness so it will be comfortable for you. Then the third one we have is the temperature, and we call it the blue light filter. You see some of these devices, like even phones, I'm sure it's in most phones, they have this blue light filter. There is some phones, they call it, what do they call it? Eye care. Yeah, some phones, they call it eye care. So just ensure that you have those on. The blue light filter actually reduce the amount of the small blue light that is actually being emitted from some of these screens. So it's actually going to reduce it, and it's going to reduce the brightness as well, and it's still going to give you comfortable vision. So the final one we have, one of the best practices, is just to get your eyes checked, because some of the complaints you might be having, you feel that there's something in your eye, is actually not conjunctivitis. That's what we actually tell people. Can you have your eyes itching you? I have one patient like that. Yeah, his eye is always red. So he came, he told me that he went and someone gave him an eye drop. Which eye drop was that? I think that was dexamethasone. And this is a steroid, and it's not something that is to be used for a prolonged period of time. So what happens is the guy gets the steroid, dexamethasone, he instills it in his eyes. Just within one day, the eye is clear, he's happy. Then maybe he stops using the dexamethasone. Within 1 week, his eye become red again. So you have to go and buy it and use it. And he kept using that. I asked him, for how long have you used this? He said, you have used it for almost 1 year. So I was surprised. I told him, you don't have to use that for 1 year. One, because it's actually a steroid. You can actually have steroid-induced glaucoma or even cataract. Though the possibility of that happening is low, but it can actually, because it has BAK, benzalkonium chloride, as the preservative, it can actually cause corneal toxicity, and that was what he was suffering from. That's what we call the bound effect of corticosteroids use. So that's what we have. We always say, get your eyes checked. Your eye was red today and your doctor prescribed dexamethasone, or your eye was red today and your doctor prescribed Antalarge, doesn't mean that every red eye is conjunctivitis. Red eye is just like headache. There are 1,000,001 things that can cause headache. So if you say that every red eye is conjunctivitis and you use Antalarge all the time, if you are having dry eyes, you are actually doing the wrong, you are actually taking the wrong prescription, and it's actually going to make the case worse. So the base of the whole thing is just get your eyes checked. And that is why we are summarizing now. And that is why we are making out this time to encourage everyone to pledge by having his eyes checked. So in conclusion, good vision can help you work better, prolonged use of digital device can affect people across all ages and reduce your productivity if not properly managed. That's the clause, if not properly managed. So if you use the digital device screen in the way you are supposed to use it, you are not actually going to have any problem. So almost 9 over 10 of workplace injuries can be prevented. So we are encouraging everyone to pledge to love their eyes by making simple changes to your workstation. So we've come to the conclusion of this presentation. So does anyone have any question you can ask now?
Yes, sir. Sir, please, I have a question. Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation, sir.
Okay.
Sir, please, my question
All right,
is,
thank you.
my parents, there was this eye drop that were presented to them. It was on prescription base, but he has been using it for long. So we've been seeing improvements. When the eye drop finishes, we'll still buy another one. Sir, is there anything, is something wrong with this? Can we still continue doing that, or we still need to be going back to the hospital for consultation, sir? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for that question. Now, there are two things that are involved here. One, it depends on the condition which is being managed. There are some conditions that require use of eye drops. Like if someone's having something like glaucoma, you are expected to use your eye drop for a lifetime, except you opt in for a surgery, trabeculectomy. So, one, it depends on the condition that your father is having. So, if the condition requires using the eye drop every time, then he might actually need to use that. So, my advice is for you: you will have to go back to the hospital with him, and you have to find out what was the diagnosis. And from the diagnosis, we are going to know if he is to be using the eye drop for a prolonged time or if there is any other alternative. So it depends. I cannot actually say, okay, you're not supposed to use eye drop for a particular number of time. There are people that are managing something like allergic conjunctivitis called VKC, venous keratoconjunctivitis. So those ones, they require something like you use the eye drop for 3 to 6 months. So in such condition, you are going to use them. But if your condition doesn't require you using those, so we don't actually encourage that. So what I will encourage you to do is to report back to the doctor and ask for diagnosis, ask for more explanation, and see if there is another alternative than to using the eye drop. Thank you. I hope I answered your question, right?
Yes. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. Is any other question? Does anyone have any other question? We're rounding off here.
Okay, I think in the absence of any other question, thank you, Dr. Ralph, for the presentation. And thank you, everyone that has joined us. I guess we have picked a theme or two to improve our work and practice, and therefore improve the lifespan, or get the lifespan of the use of your eyes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Ralph, for this presentation. Bye, everybody.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.